Um, Most of us know who Colion Noir is. He's the black guy, and the reason why I say he's the black guy is because he's an NRA spokesperson, and our friends in the gun control community call us all white supremacists. So I wanted to point out the black NRA spokesman who knows more about guns than I do. Yeah. Now, Colin made a video about standard capacity mag versus low capacity mag, and he's like, why? And he said, well, the mass shooter isn't going to obey the mag ban, so why should I reduce my mag to please you? And that was basically the gist of it. Why should I reduce my mag and reduce my chances of getting out alive if the mass shooter isn't going to reduce his mag? Well, a lot of people don't know about this story, but I do because I'm cool. Yeah, I live right next door to the shit house. So I'm going to emphasize for him and for a lot of you who don't know. Now, I did talk about mag bans once before when I was doing videos for Tom. But it was a couple of years ago and there's no safe act mentioned there. Now, in 1991, David Dinkins was the worst mayor in New York City history. He will soon be surpassed by de Blasio. Now, New York City is not a democracy. In New York City, they have the mayor and the city council to make law. Now, I don't know if the city council is legally allowed to disagree with the mayor, but the city council rubber stamps anything the mayor wants. Example, Michael Bloomberg said, if you drink a soda drink more than 16 ounces large, it's a $200 fine. That's worse than running a red light, and that's worse than smoking weed. The police will take your soda away from you and give you a $200 fine. And for the most part, the sheep are getting ready to comply. But you know how when a law is written and they say the law takes place in 6 months? Okay. Bloomberg wrote the law. City council rubber stamped it. Bloomberg left office. Then the day before the soda ban was going to go into effect down there, a couple of vendors had complained to the courts, and the state Supreme Court said, law's stupid, not going to go. Bloomberg, who had left office and was by then a private citizen, filed an appeal at the taxpayers' expense to another court, and that other court also threw him down. So that gives you an idea of how stupid New York City can be. Now, in 1991, New York City passed a law, and I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg, but it's 99% identical to the Washington, D.C. ban. You were not allowed to have any features on your rifle or shotgun. Not one feature, but no features. No pistol, no banner, nothing. And there are 200 firearms that were banned by name. Now, is it Saga or Sega makes an AK rifle with a 5-round magazine that is designated for sportsmanship. No pistol grip, no bayonet lug, no none of this shit. That's banned because the AK receiver is banned by name. Some people took their AR-15 and took that piece of shit and took the pistol grip off of it and put that piece of shit ugly non-pistol grip handle on it. Not New York City, because the AR-15 is banned by name. Not banned by feature, banned by name. The Ruger Mini 14, ranch model, 5-round magazine, banned by name. My M1 carbine has no bayonet lug on it. That's okay. In New York City, banned by name. Every single defensive rifle and shotgun on the market was banned by name. Every accessory was banned by name. And the ban wasn't, okay, yeah, you can't buy any new ones. You can keep, no. You had 90 days to surrender your firearm to the police department, and they would conduct, quote, spot checks to make sure there were no holdouts. Also, magazine capacity was reduced to 10 rounds. And since then, long gun magazine capacity has been reduced to 5 rounds. And even after the federal judge ruled in the SAFE Act, magazine capacity is restored to 10 rounds. New York City is still in defiance of that court order, and they're banning any rifles with more than 5 rounds. Now, this is a Glock 40, Glock 23, 40 caliber. Yes, it's clear. This is the 13 round magazine, which is standard for the gun. If you had the 13 round magazine the day the ban went into effect in New York City, you could keep it. No pre-ban, no buying, trading, selling, no. If you had the magazine physically in your house the day the ban went into effect, you could keep it. Otherwise, that's it. Well, I guess you go buy your Glock 23 with a 10 round magazine. No. This did not exist. This you see here did not exist in 1991. Also, the Glock 22, the Glock 17, the Glock 19, all magazine capacity higher than 10 rounds. You cannot buy this magazine past 1991, and this magazine does not exist. Therefore, you cannot buy this gun. If you buy the gun, the FFL has to take the magazine out and give you the gun empty. And you load one fucking round and pull the trigger. In 1994, the federal government reduced magazine capacity to 10 rounds and ordered, and it wasn't just Glock, by the way, it was SIG, Beretta. You remember the stainless steel Smith & Wessons that all the cops carried with 15 rounds? That too, all of it. Now in 1994, the federal government reduced magazine capacity to 10 rounds. And they ordered every manufacturer to make this to be compliant. 10 years later, federal government discontinued the ban. Most states went back to this. Some states stay with this. But from 1991 to 1994, this was your Glock 23 in New York City. No magazine. You could legally buy the Glock, but you couldn't have a magazine for it. Same thing for your Beretta, no magazine. And people in New York City actually benefited from the federal ban because this magazine was invented for them. And now they finally had this magazine. Okay. Then the SAFE Act comes along. Now the SAFE Act cuts magazine capacity to 7 rounds. Well, here's the issue. During an appeal in a federal courthouse, Cuomo's attorney told a panel of federal judges that Cuomo hoped every gun manufacturer in the world would reduce their magazine capacity to 7 rounds for the SAFE Act. So this would become a 7-round magazine. They would actually make a 7-round magazine for a Glock and Smith and SIG and Beretta. No. You want to know the truth? Cuomo was told no one's going to make a 7-round magazine. We're not doing it. Cuomo was told that. And he reduced magazine capacity to 7 rounds because he was told no one would go lower than 10 for the compliant magazines. Now, the original beta version of the SAFE Act that was being negotiated called for all magazines to be reduced to 5 rounds, which means this would be banned. I don't know if they're going to take the fucking cylinder out of it, but this would have been a ban. This wasn't out, by the way, at that time. But anyway, Cuomo wanted to reduce all magazine capacity to 5 rounds of ammunition. He wanted to take from the people every magazine that held more than 5 rounds, which means my 1911, clear. This would be physically taken away. Forget about this. This would have been taken away. This would have been taken away, and I would have had a New York City 1992 gun in my possession. I would have had 2 New York City 1991 guns, which means gun and no magazine. Now, what firearm, semi-automatic firearm, holds 5 rounds? At that time, the answer was none, because Springfield was still developing the XDS-45. It came out pretty soon, but for a brief period, the Springfield XDS-45, actually for a brief period, there would have been no legal semi-automatic handgun in New York State, and a few weeks later, the Springfield XDS-45 with the 5-round magazine would have been the only legal gun. 5 rounds, not the 7. There's a 7-round 45 magazine for the XDS, and if you go to 9mm XDS, you have 7 rounds for standard, 9 rounds for high cap. The Springfield XDS-45 standard cap mag would have been the only legal semi-automatic. What about revolvers? Okay. The small J-frame revolvers would have been legal, and the big Gigunda Magnums would have been legal because they have 5 rounds. No Governor, no 686, no Trooper, no Python, none of that shit. No Vaquero, none of it. Now, what's significant about that? Well, for starters, only an expert shooter can physically control the Super Magnums, the 500, the 460, the 454 Casull. Those Gigunda fucking Magnum guns can only be controlled by an absolute professional. Which means an amateur's not buying one. And can you use a 500 Magnum to defend yourself? No. Because think of the concentration it requires to shoot a 500 Magnum in a relaxed setting. You gotta brace yourself, you gotta look real good, you gotta hold real tight, you gotta be real careful with it. Can you do that under pressure? No. So, that would have been banned. Now, the little J-frames. You can use a J-frame revolver for defense, but once again, you have to be somewhat of an expert, intermediate shooter. Because it's still hard to control that J-frame with the recoil going back. So the purpose, I didn't want to get out my car, buy and show you those magazines. I didn't want to go through the trouble. So we're looking at handguns, but rifles and shotguns, same shit. So the purpose of the magazine bans is to ban the magazine to the point where the handgun itself is, or the rifle, the shotgun is useless. To ban the magazine entirely, to make sure there's no magazine in the gun. Require a 5-round magazine when none is available. That's the purpose. Now, as a secondary thing, they don't want you to have more than 10 rounds. If you can't defend yourself with 10 rounds, then you just gotta die and they don't care. That's the compromise. Okay, fine. We'll give you 10. But the real purpose is to reduce the magazine capacity to the point where there is no magazine. Now, I'm going to close when I run out of camera space. What happened was they said all magazine capacity is 7 rounds, which means any gun that is sold more than 7 rounds is illegal, including this. Then they said, fine, we'll allow you to sell 10-round magazines, but you can't put more than 7 in. Well, fuck you, we put 10 in anyway. Okay, so After a couple of weeks, they did allow, thank you very much, cocksuckers, they did allow you to buy 10-round magazines if you promised to put 7 in. So we kept that promise the same way they kept their promise to uphold the Constitution. Then a federal judge said magazine capacity is back to 10. No pre-bans, no higher than that, but magazine capacity is back to 10. So that's by order of a federal judge. They cannot go below 10 rounds anymore. So Cuomo sort of had it backfired on him. And we're still trying to get the magazines relaxed a little bit more to go higher than 10 to allow pre-bans, and we're still trying to get rid of the weapons accessories ban. But we did make that stride, because now politicians cannot go lower than 10. So they can't ban all magazines and ban the gun by default. They can't do that anymore. So that's the purpose behind the magazine ban. That was their purpose, and then they failed, thank God. Okay, thank you.